few days before that fateful afternoon, on November 22nd, 1963, as a Secret Service agent attached to President Kennedy's protection detail, we found out that he had a two-state trip planned. The states he would be visiting were Florida and Texas. Texas was our first stop. The first stop in Texas was San Antonio on November 21st. At San Antonio, there was a testimonial dinner put on for Albert Thomas. That night, we stayed in a hotel with the Kennedys. The next morning, on November 22nd, 1963, the President went by motorcade to Carswell Air Force Base for a short flight to Dallas, Texas. When the President arrived at Dallas, we already had the motorcade waiting for him. In the presidential limousine was Governor Conley of Texas and his wife. The motorcade was to travel 10 miles. It was no secret that JFK was using this trip at the height of the Cold War to help ensure his win in the next election. The next election would have been in the year 1969. That day, I was one of the agents who were walking beside the limo. Nowadays, it is unheard of, but back then they actually used a convertible. We turned onto Daly Plaza around 12:30 p.m. Then it happened. Just as we were passing the Texas, I heard the shot, then saw Miss Kennedy scream. I couldn't hear her over the shouting of the crowd. My training took over, and I drew my weapon and ran to the limo. Before I could get to the limo, it sped away. I didn't know what position the President was in. A Secret Service SUV pulled up and gave me and three other walking agents a lift. It was only when we arrived at Parkland Hospital that I knew where the President was. It was there, in the hospital, that I found out that the President was hit, as well as the Governor. However, their wives escaped unscathed. I was informed by our field commander that JFK was hit in either the neck or the head. At 1 p.m., we were informed that we were no longer guarding the President of the United States of America. Our next assignment was to bring the body of the President to Air Force One, along with Miss Kennedy. When Lyndon B. Johnson, the Vice President, was sworn in as President on Air Force One. He became the 36th President at 2:39 p.m. At this point, new information was coming in that we were being informed of. We found out that Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested in connection to the shooting. We also found out that he worked at the Texas School Depository, where the shots were fired from. The next few days were very trying days at work. It was the knowledge that we failed that hurt the most. The only bright spot was that Governor Conley recovered from his injury and funeral plans were being created. Miss Kennedy wanted her husband's funeral to be modeled after Abraham Lincoln's funeral. The procession ended at Arlington, where he was buried. At the end of the funeral, an eternal flame was lit by Miss Kennedy and JFK's brothers. Later, Oswald was killed on national television. If you ask me, Oswald got what he deserved. I was not in the room when President Johnson signed Executive Order 11130, but I'm glad he did. This order created a presidential commission headed by Supreme Court Justice Earl Warren. Other members of the commission I read about in the paper. It looked to me like a bunch of lawyers with no field experience needed to investigate this crime properly. It was only later, when some of my buddies were assigned to this group to help that I found out they were relying on us and the CIA for evidence collection. The Warren Commission delivered its report on September 24, 1964, to President Johnson. I took it on myself to read the entire report to find out what they discovered. I couldn't believe it. They found out that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. That's ridiculous. I, for one, refuse to believe that we lost the President to one man. The Secret Service is more confident than that. Then the report went on to talk about a single bullet theory. This said that the President and the Governor were hit by the same bullet. I didn't think this was possible because there were no nicks in the bullet. I believed, like most people, that there was something else at work, like a conspiracy. Too many groups had motives. I was pleased to hear that a few years later, a House Select Committee started a second investigation. Also that they found that there may have been multiple shooters. Maybe the Secret Service didn't completely screw up.